What's up, a cinemashogun here, and we are less than 1 week away from Christmas. Drop those Christmas trees down in the comments below. But anyways, as you all know, during the holiday season, as we inch closer to Christmas, the scammers are out there, okay? There are scams everywhere you look, but the biggest and most dangerous scam of all, in fact, quite possibly the largest and most dangerous scam in the history of humanity, is the climate change scam. You see, the climate change scam, it has very little to do with gaining better control over the climate, and it has everything to do with gaining control over you and your life, with the end game being population control, reducing the population. You see, when this conversation started, it was, we got to get rid of the gas guzzlers. We got to get rid of your vehicles and replace them with electric vehicles that we can control from a computer, that we can cut off whenever we want, that we can track better than, the cars of the past. We need to replace your cars that give you a little too much freedom, and we need to replace them with cars that can't get as far. We need to replace them with cars that we can track and shut off at any moment. And then it went from that to, cow farts. I kid you not. Cow farts are causing global warming. We got to get rid of all these cows. We got to get rid of all of this livestock. You can't be out here with all of these cows. We need to step in, and we need to start controlling these farms. We need to start taking over the farmland. Y'all need to stop eating this much meat. We need to control what you eat. We need to control how much food you all have. And we need to take over the farmlands because of climate change and all of the cows farting. And then it went back to the cars again. Oh, well, electric vehicles are not enough. You need to drive, or you need to ride bicycles. I mean, the electric vehicles, of course, they're better than the old vehicles. And we're going to replace as many as we can, even though it's bad for the climate when we mine for the materials to make the car batteries that are blowing up in electric vehicles everywhere. Never mind the fact that we use freaking slave labor and like 9-year-olds in Africa to mine for this stuff that are dying at alarming rates with working under conditions that none of us can even fathom. No, you got to drive your electric vehicles, but hey, that's too much now as well. Now you need to live in a 15-minute city. You need to ride around on bicycles. You need to be taxed if you drive a certain amount of time per day. Oh, if you want to go to this part of town, it's going to cost you $25, even if you're riding in your own vehicle. Oh, we need to start shutting down lanes and opening more bike lanes. It's all of this stuff. And then guess where it ends? It ends with you. First it's the cars, then it's the food, and then it's the human beings, because the end goal is population control. And it just so happens some new studies just dropped. And guess what they're saying now? Look at these headlines, folks. Humans may be fueling global warming by breathing. Oh. So it turns out that us conspiracy theorists, we were correct again. It turns out that we were right again. It went from your cars being bad to the way you live. It's bad for the environment to, the food you're eating is so bad for the environment. You need to eat bugs. You need to stop driving cars. As world leaders who are preaching about climate change, they're flying around on private jets all across the world, but you need to ride bikes. You can't go further than 15 minutes from home. And now you can't breathe. Humans breathing, it's fueling climate change. So if we were to look at the pattern that they've already created, cars are bad, we need to get rid of cars. Cows and farmland's bad, we got to get rid of that. What do you think? What do you think the answer is? Do you think humans can just stop breathing to stop climate change? These freak weirdos, some of which actually believe in this stuff, how far do you think they will go to stop climate change? I can guarantee you they will go to some extreme lengths. So when you start seeing headlines like this, oh, humans breathing, it's fueling climate change. What do you think the answer to that is? Oh, wait. What do you think the answer is? It's knocking you guys off. It's knocking us off. Population control. The powers that be, they're not hiding it. They talk about population control all the time. In fact, hell, before it got blown up, we had the Georgia Guidestones that talked about reducing the world's population. The people, the most powerful people, most of the billionaires, Bill Gates and those folks, they talk about population control all of the time. But the truth is, we don't have a population problem. In fact, our population is declining. Our birth rates are declining. And that's what they want. And it feels as if they'll do anything they can to reduce the population. Regardless if it's pumping people with experimental medications or if it's just starting World War III. You know, a lot of people look at world wars and they look at all of the different things that happened politically and stuff. But what if sometimes the powers that be just decide, hey, let's just go all out war. We want to reduce the population. What better way to do so? Let's go ahead and just have a little slap boxing match. Your army against mine. Wipe out a few 100,000 people on each side. That way, you know, we don't have to do anything too crazy, make people raise their eyebrows too far. I'm telling you right now, I do look at these huge like world wars as population control. And when you're looking at the direction that we're headed right now, with all of these wars going on, I mean, firing off these missiles and sending all of these warships all across the world, that's got to be bad for the climate, right? If you were to believe their nonsense. But that's okay. That's okay. They can do that. They can do that. But you see, the climate change stuff, it's very dangerous because some people have been radicalized behind this. And they point at literally anything and use it as fake evidence for climate change. Oh, look, it's raining today. Must be because of climate change. Oh, look, there's a storm. There's a tornado. There's a hurricane. There's a fire. There's this. There's that. Natural disasters and weather, it's been happening since the beginning of time. There's been bad weather, folks. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people don't realize that, but bad weather has always existed. The climate has always changed throughout the history of the world. Sometimes it's cooler, sometimes it's hotter. Just a few years ago, in the 80s, they were warning people of a new ice age. And then they warned people of global warming. They had to change it to climate change so they can use anything as an example. So if it gets colder or if it gets hotter, they could use both to try to fit into their argument. That's why I tell you, you got to pay attention to the words. It went from global warming to, you don't hear global warming anymore. Now it's climate change. So no matter what the climate is, cool or warm, they could use it and say, hey, see, this is an example of climate change. And the fact that people can't see how they're using this nonsense as an excuse to crack down on us, it's sad. And it would be one thing if these people practice what they preach, but they don't. And that shows you that it's the rules for thee and not for me. That shows you that the intentions aren't pure. That they got some messed up stuff going on, if you will. It's just so blatantly obvious to me. But to some, they have a hard time understanding because They've been indoctrinated by years of this nonsense. Years of this nonsense. And they don't realize that people are pointing to storms like, hey, look, it's a bad hurricane season. Maybe we should crack down on the way you live for the rest of your life. Maybe you should no longer be able to drive cars. Maybe you should no longer be able to eat meat. Maybe you should no longer be able to breathe. Because when you breathe, you're fueling climate change. So go ahead, you know what I mean? It's so obvious. And it's so downright evil. It's evil. It's literally the most evil you can think of. But it's so blatant and out there in everyone's face that it's been so normalized that people read these headlines and, oh, okay, it's nothing. No. We've seen what they're trying to do in the name of climate change. And once they start looking at humans not as, oh, maybe you're doing, maybe you have bad habits that are fueling climate change. No, it's not that. It's you breathing. You breathing. This is something we literally cannot change. You can't recycle. You can't be a vegetarian, ride a bike. It doesn't matter. You're still going to have to breathe. So they've narrowed it all the way down to what you have to do to literally live. We got to cut that out. And they should have never been allowed to push this far. The electric cars were one thing. When they started complaining about the cow farts, we should have known that they got too crazy then. It sounds funny. It's hilarious. But for real talk. Once it got down to them complaining about cow farts ruining the world, once it got to that point, we should have known then. We should have known then. But now, they've gone all the way past the cow farts, and now it's just you and me breathing. And listen, if you disagree with anything I say in this video, it's okay. You can feel free to disagree with anything I've said in this video, but you better make damn sure you are holding your breath while doing so, unless you want to be a fucking hypocrite. Okay? Let's just be real. You want to disagree with me about climate change being a scam? You want to disagree with me about them using climate change to control us? You're free to have your own opinions, but you better not breathe while doing so, because you're a bad person if you breathe. You're a bad person for breathing and contributing to climate change. So remember that. Remember that. So that's the position that y'all have placed yourself in. That literally, if you want to practice what you preach, if you want to be on the right side of history, if you want to stop climate change, first you got to stop breathing. But this is almost too ridiculous to continue talking about. I hope and pray that the majority of you watching this video understand how ridiculous this is. You can go read the articles and studies if you want to. I didn't think it was necessary to read it in this video because it's so idiotic. And it basically just blames humans breathing for climate change. But let me know your thoughts about this down below. Like I said, if you want to disagree, go ahead and do so below. But make sure you're holding your breath. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button.
I'm not sure I understand.
Oh, okay. I don't understand this either. But if you want to donate to the channel, you can do so via Cash App or via Super Thanks. But with all that being said, I'll talk to you all soon in the next one. Make sure to hold your breath.